Someone needs to hear this. You have the Eight of Cups. You have the Ten of Pentacles. You have the Page of Swords. There's also the Judgment card. King of Cups. Two of Wands. Four of Wands. We have the Three of Cups. And you have the Two of Pentacles. And you have the Five of Pentacles. This person, they walked away but not because they stopped caring. This is emotional overwhelm, avoidance of fear. They left something unfinished, something unresolved, something that still pulls at them. And then we have this Ten of Pentacles. They saw long-term potential with you, stability, future, possibility. This wasn't a fleeting connection. They imagined what life could look like with you. And that scared them more than they expected. We've got this Page of Swords here. They're watching you from a distance. Curious, alert, quietly observing. They haven't let go. They're trying to understand where you stand, and what you're feeling, and whether the door's still open. And then we've got this Judgment. This person's having realizations like wake-up moments, emotional clarity. This is someone who's being confronted by their own truth. The truth of what they felt, what they avoided, and what they regret. Then we move into this layer here, the King of Cups. Their feelings, they run deeper than they ever expressed. This is emotional maturity, emotional depth, emotional sincerity. They cared more than they showed. And then we've got this Two of Wands. They're thinking about reaching out. There's planning, there's imagining, there's considering. They're making some considerations. They haven't acted yet, but the desire's there. They're standing at the edge of a decision. You're this person. There's this person that you felt like home to them. Comfort, joy, ease. They remember the good moments. They remember the warmth. And they remember how natural it felt. Because the Three of Cups shows that they miss the friendship, the laughter, the ease of connection. They miss the emotional closeness. They miss the version of themselves they were when they were with you. And now we see this Two of Pentacles. They're juggling their emotions and their responsibilities, their fears. They're feeling very overwhelmed because they're trying to balance their desire to reconnect with their fear of messing things up again. And now we see this Five of Pentacles. And underneath, this tells us underneath everything is a fear of rejection, a fear of being shut out, a fear that they already lost their chance. And this is someone who feels the distance deeply. So when I look at all these cards all combined, this emotional truth is becoming clearer. I see someone who walked away not because they didn't care, but because they cared too much and didn't know how to hold it. You see, with the Eight of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles together these show a heart that saw long-term potential, and they panicked. They felt something real, something stable, something that could have grown. And that level of emotional seriousness triggered their fears. And then we see this with this Page of Swords, pardon me, a Swords. A Page of Swords shows they never truly left because they're still watching from the sidelines, from the edges, trying to understand you without getting too close. They're curious and they're cautious, and there's quiet longing. This Judgment shows the emotional reckoning they're going through. They're being confronted by their own avoidance, their own patterns, their own fears. They're realizing what they walked away from and why it still hurts. And this King of Cups, to me, it reveals the depth of their feelings. They cared more than they ever admitted. They still care. They're just not good at expressing it. You know, this card even moves to this, like, should I reach out? Should I stay silent? This is a crossroad. What if I say the wrong thing, and what if it's too late? You see, with the Four of Wands, I see this Three of Cups. They show the emotional warmth. These things, they still associate with you. It's just the memories. It's the good stuff. Well, you were a bright spot in their life, and someone who made them feel safe, seen, and understood. But then we get into this Two of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. This is the struggle. They're overwhelmed by their own emotions. They're afraid of rejection. They're afraid of repeating old mistakes. They're afraid of wanting something they don't know how to hold. And this is someone who feels lost. It's someone who feels the distance. It's someone who still feels connected to you. And the problem is they're just not sure how to bridge that gap. Okay, so I'm also feeling that this feels like someone who didn't know how to hold what they felt. It's someone who walked away to protect themselves, not to hurt you. But someone who's realizing now that the connection meant more than they allowed themselves to admit. They're feeling right here. There's a quiet longing here, a quiet regret, a quiet hope. We see this person is connected to you. They walked away out of fear. It's not indifference. They've been watching from a distance, thinking, reflecting, regretting. They're realizing the depth of their feelings and the weight of their silence. They miss that warmth. They miss the closeness. They miss the ease that they had when you were together. And they're afraid of reaching out. But they haven't let go. If this resonates, let it remind you that silence often hides the vulnerability. not the apathy. And this found you trusts what resonates and leave the rest.